Good morning, my dear children. Welcome back to your geography class. Let's continue with the third chapter, humidity and clouds. We'll continue with the second part today. Before that, let's do a short revision of what we have learned in the previous video. We started the lesson with evaporation, and then we learned about humidity, how humidity in the air increases and how it reaches the saturation point, and then we saw the difference in the temperature in the three different parts of India: Rajasthan, Kashmir and Mumbai. Then we discussed about humidity, or today we are going to learn more about humidity. As we learned that humidity in the air is expressed in different ways, today we are going to learn about absolute humidity. Now, absolute humidity, children, means the amount of water vapor in 1 cubic meter of air is the absolute humidity of the air. For example, the absolute humidity of the air near coastal areas is high than air in the interior. Now, absolute humidity is higher in the equatorial areas while it reduces as we move towards the poles. The distribution of land and water on earth and the seasons also affect absolute humidity. Now, when we talk about absolute humidity, children, it has nothing to do with the temperature. Now, whatever may be the temperature, absolute humidity is measured on the basis of wherever it is, depending on the place. Okay. Now, for example, if you talk about the coastal areas, there you can see that the humidity, the absolute humidity is high because as it is near the sea. And at the same time, if you go to the equatorial regions, there also it is higher, and when you go towards the poles, that time you will find that this absolute humidity reduces. And the distribution of land and water on earth and the seasons, they also affect the absolute humidity. So the factors affecting absolute humidity is the area and the distribution of land and water and the seasons. Okay. Now coming to the next is the relative humidity. Relative humidity, children, the amount of water vapor present in air can be expressed as a percentage of the amount needed for saturation at the same time and same volume. It is expressed in percentage. Now, relative humidity is totally depending on the temperature. For example, now see, as air cools, it loses its ability to hold a lot of water, and then we have learned in the previous part that it reaches the saturation point and then it comes down in the form of various means like rain, water, then snow, then hailstones, etc. Now, here you can see on the screen, children, relative humidity and temperature. Relative humidity is usually maximum in the morning when the temperature is low, and minimum during the afternoon when you can see that the temperature is high. Now, watering the plants is more effective when relative humidity is high, less evaporation from the ground. So that is during the morning time and evening time. You must have seen people mostly water their plants during the morning or in the evening, because during afternoon the heat is also high and the rate of evaporation also is high, and that time you can see that relative humidity is minimum. The air's total vapor content is constant during the day. Now see, children, in the picture below you can see there is one graph which is given. There you can see as the temperature goes down, the relative humidity is high, and when the temperature is more, the relative humidity is less. See one more picture. Here you can see how it fluctuates over a day or a season. Now see, at the timing is given and the temperature is given. as well as the relative humidity, how it changes because of the temperature. I hope you all have understood relative humidity and absolute humidity. Now children, there is a formula which is given to calculate relative humidity. Relative humidity is equal to absolute humidity upon vapor holding capacity multiplied by 100. What will be the relative humidity of air whose absolute humidity is 20 gram per cubic meter and vapor holding capacity is 30 gram per cubic meter? Now these are on, see children, page number 19. Below the relative humidity paragraph there are two questions. Now you have to use the formula which is given, and these two questions you have to solve as homework and try to find out the answer, as in what is the relative humidity, and keep it so that I can check in the next lecture of us. Okay children, one more thing which we have to always remember is generally humidity of the air is measured in grams per cubic meter. When the humidity in the air is 0 gram per cubic meter, the air is said to be dry. So we understand that whenever the humidity in the air is 0 gram per cubic meter, that means the air will be dry. Okay, and if the humidity in the air is at 30 degrees Celsius temperature is 37 grams per cubic meter, then the air is said to be saturated. That means if it is 30 degrees Celsius, the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, and if it is 37 grams per cubic meter, that means if the humidity is 37 grams per cubic meter, then the air reaches its saturation level. Okay, and then it gets saturated, the air gets saturated. The amount of water vapor changes according to the difference in temperature. Similarly, relative humidity also changes. Generally, relative humidity is more in the morning and nights. In the afternoon, as temperature increases, relative humidity decreases. Near coastal areas, the relative humidity is more, and so the air is moist. Yes, whenever you go to a beach or if you visit a sea coast, you will find that the temperature there is moist or there is a lot of humidity in the air. So sometimes you feel sticky on your skin. That is because of the air which is moist. In desert areas, relative humidity is less because the temperature is high. So you keep one thing in mind regarding relative humidity, that is, so when the temperature, as we saw before, is low, the relative humidity is high, and when the temperature is high, the relative humidity is low. Okay, on page number 19 there's an experiment. Let's do the experiment. Take water in a pressure cooker. Take off the whistle of the pressure cooker. Now heat the cooker. Take a lid with a handle. After the water starts boiling, hold the lid at a distance from where the steam is coming out. Observe what happens. Now children, we know that after what is going to happen, you must have observed. Now see, on the lid you can see there are droplets of water which we can easily see after the lid is held near the pressure cooker. That means the steam which was coming out, when it touched the surface of the lid, it started cooling down and it formed as water droplets. Okay, you must have observed that water changed into water vapor after it was heated. This vapor turns into water droplet when it touches the cooler lid. We can see the water droplets deposited on the lid. Let's see one more experiment on page number 20. Take a glass with flat bottom. Put some ice cubes in it. Keep this glass in a room for 2 to 3 minutes. What do you see? In some time, you will see droplets of water on the outer surface of the glass. When the water vapor in the air comes in contact with the cold surface, condensation takes place. These droplets form on the outer surface of the glass. In the first activity, the steam from the cooker cooled and condensed into water droplets. In the second activity, the vapor in the air condensed into water droplets. Now, what do you see? Condensation. Now, what is condensation? Water vapor in the air gets cooled and changes back into liquid, forming clouds. This is called condensation. You see condensation anytime you have a cold glass of water, and on a hot day, water forms out on the outside of the glass. The water does not leak through the glass. The water on the outside of the glass comes from the air. Water vapor is the warm air in the air turns back into liquid when it touches the cold glass. Now see children, both the experiment we saw. One, you saw that on the lid there is the droplets of water, and in the second, the outer surface of the glass, the water droplets are formed, that is condensation. The process of changing of water vapor in the air into water is called condensation or densification. Now, this process is named as condensation, or it is also called as densification. Also, the process of vapor changing into solid state is called sublimation. If the temperature of the air reduces, its vapor holding capacity also reduces. When the relative humidity of the air becomes 100%, vapor starts condensing. At this time, the temperature of the air should be at dew point. It implies that for condensation, temperature should be low and relative humidity must be high. It implies that for condensation, temperature should be low and relative humidity must be high. In the free environment, condensation of vapor in the air occurs around fine particles such as dust, salt, etc. in the air. See, in this picture you can see vapor pressure, saturation, dew point. Now next, dew, frost and fog are the forms of condensation at ground level, while clouds are formation of condensation at higher elevations. That means on the ground surface, which we usually see are in the form of dew, frost or fog. See in the picture, in the first picture you can see frost, second is dew drops, and then you can see in the both the pictures are showing us fog. Yes, you must have seen all these three many times during the winter season, then during the temperature when there is lot of humidity in the air, or you must have seen, like we have done the experiment, you must have seen those in your normal day-to-day routine life. Okay children, for today we'll stop here. In the next lecture we'll be learning about types of clouds. Okay, I hope you all have understood. If any doubt, you can join in the doubt clearing section. It's absolute humidity, relative humidity and the condensation part which we learned today. Okay, just go through the video thoroughly. Still, if you have any doubt, you can join the DCS. Thank you. Have a nice day.